Hello and welcome to the webinar Beyond the Physical. What is the purpose of PE? What are the holistic benefits it can bring? And what is the primary PE national curriculum and how does that fit within presenting children with the best possible experience they can hope to get?
Over the next few slides, we're just going to start to unpick some of the information within here and really start to explore what the purpose of PE is. Okay, so this is just text which have been copied and pasted from the national curriculum and really focused upon the section right at the top, so the purpose of study. The first text I would like to draw your attention to is that PE should inspire all pupils to succeed and excel. PE should really encourage children that when they leave your lesson, they just want more. They've had a really positive experience. They're feeling high as kites. So there's a real buzz. And what is vital to that is the level of challenge within your lesson. So if it's too hard or too easy, then they might become disengaged and have a negative experience. So pitching at the right level, making sure everybody's challenged and making sure they have a positive experience so they want to come back is really important. The second phrase I'm going to focus on, to become physically confident to support their health and fitness. PE plays a really important part in this. We need to make sure that PE helps foster a love in children and a love for movement. So as they leave us in primary school, they want to keep moving in whichever way they choose, and they understand that that's vital in order to live a healthy lifestyle. And lastly, to build character and embed values. And I think this is a really good opportunity to link in with your own school values that you work in. This is where we really start to look, sorry, Sharon. This is where we really start to look beyond the physical, and we start to embed and cement those school values in our PE lessons. So for example, it may be that your school wishes to develop independent learners. And this is something that you could focus on for a term. So how can you independently learn in each PE lesson? What does that look like? And how can you transfer that skill to other subject areas, but also life in general? It's going to be a key skill for as they grow older. Just on this slide now, this is something that inspired me from Simon Sinek and his Circle of Why. And it's something that I've used with a local school to help engage the staff within their school when teaching PE, so that everybody understood why they teach PE. So if I can just draw your attention to the very centre of the circle, so the why. So maybe, and again, this is just an example, it's probably going to be different if you were to apply this into your school. But in this school, to inspire our whole school to love moving in their own way. So that was going to be the real purpose of why we teach PE. How are we going to do that? You can see is circled around it. And I'm just going to focus in on understanding the holistic benefits. So it's really important that everybody in school understands that there's more benefits than just the physical benefits in PE. And if we're going to inspire everybody, they're going to have to understand this. Now, in the blue area around the edges, this is kind of the week-to-week stuff that you would probably see in school. So if I can just draw your attention to the circle on the right, needs-led PE CPD for all teaching staff. It may be that whether it's internally or a school gets somebody externally to come in to really talk about and highlight the holistic benefits of PE and upskill the staff to be aware of this and obviously to improve their teaching of PE as a result. On the left-hand side of the slide, you'll see health and well-being opportunities for staff to enjoy moving. This could be a really powerful method of inspiring your staff. So when writing this one down, we spoke about how we could possibly arrange a weekly kind of well-being slot for the staff, whether that's after school and it's a yoga session or a HIIT session, or it might just be a chat about your mental well-being. And again, basing it around physical activities, ideally, to really bring those holistic benefits to life. And then just above that, so bringing school values alive in PE. Again, I alluded to this before, so showing clear examples of how your school values can be brought to life in PE. What does that actually look like? That might be linked to the CPD training for staff in your school. It might be videos or clips that can be made and shared. Again, these are going to equip children for later life. And then in the top left, PE achievements communicated to parents regularly. So in order to inspire our whole school, we've got to think about parents as well. So we might celebrate a child's achievements in PE. This might be a weekly thing. It could be via Twitter, via a newsletter, a conversation. But it might not necessarily just be how far they've thrown something or how fast they've ran. It may be for resilience that they've shown. Again, linking to your school value if you've got one around independent learners. So really celebrating the other things that child has shown. It can be a really powerful tool to highlighting how important PE can be.
So how can we make sure that you're confident in bringing this holistic development yourselves out through PE? The FA has the 4 corner models, and this looks at developing the technical, the physical, the psychological, and the social aspects. And if we can look at all these together in unison, whilst we're teaching a PE lesson, then we can ensure that the holistic development is taking place. We are not sport focused, we are child focused. We have to be. As teachers, we all know that children have many strengths and areas they can develop, and it is vital we meet the needs of the student and not just teach the sport. Just because one year, your year 4 group are capable of progressing onto some advanced, maybe sport-specific skills, doesn't mean every year 4 are going to be able to do that. We must ensure that we are teaching the fundamentals for them to be able to choose and decide and then master the things they want to master the activities in.
I'm just going to focus in on one of the bullet points. So you'll see at the top, pupils should be taught to participate in team games, developing simple tactics for defending. So this comes from the Key Stage 1 section. As you'll see on the slide, there's various skills that they might need to do in order to focus on the snippet from the curriculum above. Now, it's not all there. These are just some examples. So in the social corner, listening. If they're trying to defend something, whether it's a goal or points or whatever it is, they're going to have to be able to listen to each other and possibly take turns to talk. Again, psychological corner up there, developing resilient learners, not giving up. Sometimes they might not get, say, a ball for a while. They're going to have to learn how to be controlled and wait for that perfect timing. Now, the skills displayed on the slide across the 4 corners, these could be explored across a whole term. So this isn't just for one lesson. And these could be explored using various modified games where there's lots of points to earn, but also points to protect, especially if we're defending. They could be by themselves, they could be in teams. The teams could be of 4 players, it could be just of 2. But they've got lots of time, so they've got a good term to explore these skills. And when I say skills, I don't just mean the technical stuff, I mean everything you see on there. These questions could be asked throughout a lesson. So for example, if it's more of a social aspect that you're trying to drill down on in a lesson. It might be that you ask them, how have you been an excellent teammate today? Tell your friend, how have you been excellent? Or how are you going to be an excellent teammate? If it's maybe more psychological, how did you feel when trying to stop an attack? And why did you feel that way? Why was it that you had to be patient? What was it you had to do? And how did you manage that? I think these are really important questions that we need to ask for them to cognitively explore. The other thing I'd like to add to this is the timing of the question in your lessons is really, really, really important. So these questions could be dropped in throughout the lesson. So it might be, for example, that you're playing a game, a modified game. It may last for 5 minutes. You might then give them a minute's break. And in that break, you've got a chance to grab a drink, and maybe in the drinks area is a whiteboard. And on the whiteboard is your question. They can have a look at it, read it, and discuss it. It might be that you pose the question actually before the game, and you say, I want you to think about this question. I want you to then go and apply it in the next game, and we'll have a chat about it after and discuss it. Really just encouraging them to explore those different corners within your lesson. And it's really important that these questions are not just asked at the end. I'll be honest, I know I've done this in the past where I've just asked the question at the end. They've discussed, they've come up with some really good stuff, which has informed me a lot of what they know. And then they don't get to apply that until the next lesson. This lesson could be in a few days, it could be next week. And as we all know, a lot of stuff can happen between that time. I've just caught in the chat there as well. Yeah, stuff like 2 stars and a wish. If your schools use strategies like that, I would recommend being consistent and really inputting that into your PE lessons. Write something down that you notice about the teacher's pedagogy and the children's engagement.
Holistic child development in primary PE.
The purpose of PE is to contribute to the holistic development of the child.
Good morning, children. How are we? We're going to do some fun PE this morning.
Nice. Oh. Holistic development is important in PE because we don't just want to develop children's physical skills, but also the subject is really important for developing children's social skills, how they might communicate with each other, and also how they might solve problems within games. What are you doing right now, which is really, really nice? Discussing it. But how are you discussing it? Is everybody talking at the same time? So quiet voices. Letting people talk. Brilliant.
It might be that we're looking to work the children physically, so we have a bit more of a focus in that area, so we can pull out different aspects in the sessions that we're delivering.
So we've got 2 pieces of equipment going at the same time. Really like that, well done. Let's see it in action.
We introduced equipment into arm tennis to increase the level of difficulty, so we went from a football to a tennis ball to refine the motor skills that children were learning.
Going to challenge you, can you play with a tennis ball instead of the football? Okay, there you go. Thank you very much.
The 4-corner model is the FA's approach to developing the whole child. The 4-corner model consists of a technical and tactical corner, a physical corner, a social corner, and a psychological corner.
We have the 4 separate corners to ensure that when we're delivering sessions that we are thinking about all the different areas that are important for holistic development of children. It's one of those lessons that we can really bring out the teamwork aspect, the communication skills that other lessons in school don't have the opportunity to do.
Learning in PE should be planned. A good way to consider this is to create a medium-term plan for each term or half-term of PE lessons. Here is an example of what a simple Key Stage 2 medium-term plan could look like. In this term, the plan has 4 central aims: a technical and physical focus around defending, and a psychosocial focus on working together to evaluate success. All of these areas are chosen from the PE national curriculum. The needs of the pupils will determine how much time and focus there will be in each corner. This kind of medium-term plan helps ensure holistic development happens and helps teachers to plan lessons that link together and build and embed key skills.
flip that to you again. Just is a little bit on what we talked about already, but it's definitely a common theme around should we be splitting groups based on ability, and if not, why?
I think the first thing to say on that is probably that, are we sometimes guilty of seeing the fact that we've got different abilities in a class of 30, which we're going to in every single class in every school in the country? Are we sometimes guilty of seeing that as a big negative, when actually, I think it can be a massive positive? I think firstly, particularly thinking about today's theme of that holistic development, and it gives students the opportunity to develop maybe skills that they don't otherwise get to develop in different other areas of the curriculum. So it might be those students of a higher ability take on those leadership roles, and it might give that student who doesn't necessarily get a chance to shine or as much chance to shine in the classroom that chance to show some leadership qualities, because it might be that they've got some experience in playing different types of sports. And that can also be a positive to shine a light on them of being centre stage when, in the classroom that might not necessarily be the case. And I think another thing to bear in mind with different abilities in the same class, and I know I've certainly been very guilty of it in the past, is allocating teams for teachers, allocating teams for students in game situations, and it might be that you put the first three best as the captains, and the next, and so on and so on, and then maybe a problem with that is the fact that you're then going to end up, maybe if you've got three small-sided games going on, let's say of four a side each, that you might end up with one or two in each of the games who aren't touching the ball or aren't being involved, whatever the game might be that you're playing. And I think this links back to what we were talking about before, about the non-sport specific curriculums. And if you were solely focusing on football, for example, and you had 3 football games going on, and again, it might disengage some students. Whereas if instead we were focusing on developing attacking and defending skills, it might be that you have split, you've got a netball court, for example, painted out on your playground. You have 3 4v4 games going on, and one's a netball type game, one might be a basketball type game, and the third one might be a football game, because the 8 in that game can handle having the ball on the floor and working on those attacking defending principles through that. Whereas in the netball game, it might be a little bit more that, they don't have maybe as many throwing and catching skills or the coordination skills, agility skills to be able to play a football game, but they can play a throwing and catching game. So I think it's not necessarily seeing it as a negative, but actually using it as a positive to develop students in different ways, and using the curriculum to help us do that.